Thank you for joining us tonight. You are attending the Aspen Dental Ask Me Anything. My name is Maggie Maurer. I am an academic and industry relations manager, which means I am an academic recruiter. Typically, I'm in your town hosting dinners, lunch and learns, fun events off campus, but obviously can't do that right now. Hope to soon. And so here I am via video at least once a week. And I have invited Omar Harmouche to join me tonight because he has made the commitment to join Aspen Dental. And I think it's a great opportunity for students to ask questions of another dental student who's, gone through a pretty elaborate process to figure out what he wants, for his future. And so I want to give you the opportunity to ask him questions. We're going to use the chat box or the Q&A box, whatever you decide. I'll monitor it. It's at the bottom of your screen. So I would like to introduce to you Omar Harmouche. He's a Tufts D4 who just recently in November made a commitment to join Aspen Dental after our exciting virtual vibe session in early November. So Omar, tell us a little about yourself and, just about your background really and how you even chose Tufts University for dental school.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a long story. It's my whole life. My name is Omar. I was born in Lebanon, and I moved to the United States when I was 11. And my mom wanted me to be a physician, and she wanted all me and my brothers to be physicians. But I'm the family rebel, and I decided to go down the dentistry path. Um, Coming out of school, out of undergrad, I was pretty young. I finished undergrad when I was 18 years old. Um, and it was I took some time to develop my business acumen by working as a realtor, and I tutored many subjects. Um, and then I started at Tufts University in 2017, and I'm actually finishing my degree currently with a DMD MPH. So I'm doing my master's in public health simultaneously with the dental degree. Um, I, I I I have loved the past 4 years that I've had at Tufts. I think that it's been filled with opportunities and filled with getting to know great people, um, like Herman and like Maggie, and I think that that's about it. Do you have any questions that would add on?
Well, yeah. So I want to tell a little backstory. I met Omar. He attended an ASDA virtual event and he was asking so many questions. And I got into the chat box and I'm like, can I call you? Like, we need to have a conversation. He had so many great questions. So that's how I got to know Omar. He put himself out there. He attended an event, was asking a lot of questions, and our friendship started. I will tell you that he had specific plans about where he wanted to go. He had done his research and he wanted to go to Tennessee. Right, Omar?
Right.
Tell everybody a little bit about that. Like what your research led you to Tennessee. Why?
So okay, I decided that I wanted to go to Tennessee after doing okay. So I wanted to base where I live, um, de- to be dependent on more statistics than looking at like, oh, this place looks nice or this place looks fun. I looked at the first of all, I looked at state tax. That was my first thing to look at. And so the story changed down the line, so now I will be having to deal with state tax. But my first disqualifier was state tax, um, and then I wanted to look at communities that had less dentists than normal, and then I looked at communities that had low DSO to dentist ratios, and I had basically narrowed it down to be somewhere around the Knoxville area in Tennessee, and that was I was like, okay, so this is the plan. how it's going to go. The plan did not go accordingly, but it's always good to plan, even if the plan doesn't go well, because things end up playing out to be around somewhere around what you were looking for. Um, and
Can
yeah,
I interject?
go for it.
Yeah, so Omar had Tennessee on his sights. He had a phone interview, a video interview with a practice owner, an Aspen Dental practice owner in the Knoxville area. And we flew him down there. He got on a plane and he went to Knoxville for 5 days, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yep. And he just absorbed himself in that practice with that practice owner and that team. And then we had our February vibe. Go ahead.
And Maggie, I did not go to one practice. I went to a bunch of them, which
Yeah, that's right.
by itself was like an amazing experience.
Yeah, so all of Aspen Dental practices are owned by an Aspen dentist, and some practice owners own multiple practices. So Omar was paired up with an owner that had multiple practices, so he was exposed to multiple Aspen Dental offices. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience, Omar, and what you discovered in each of the Aspen offices in the Knoxville area?
Yeah, I it's so some of the practices that Dr. John was operating were a little bit older than some of the practices that he had recently opened, and it was nice to see that variation between like what an Aspen office looked like maybe like 10, 15 years from now ago, and what an Aspen office looks like now. And they were both great, but it was interesting to see the volume of patients that were seen at some offices, and at some other offices it was still the same volume, but because of the new Aspen offices are a little bit more spread out, a little bit more of a cleaner workflow, you didn't feel that. So while I was there, and I was there for a while, and I was doing a lot of shadowing. And what I started to do is like take notes on like, okay, I could do this better. Like I could do this spot a little bit better if I was working in this clinic, and like kind of looking at what are the best parts of how each clinic operates, and the worst part. Now with Aspen, it's so standardized that by going to multiple practices, I got to see how to run any Aspen office because there's a lot, like they're basically the same office copied and pasted over and over again, and that's why the system works so well, right? Um, and and that was mainly what I took away from it. I mainly got to experience that, and then I got to experience the mentorship aspect with Dr. John as well, and that was a whole different story.
Yeah, so another thing that's, I think, copy and pasted is the culture. Can you tell me a little bit about the teams that you were exposed to in each of those offices?
Yeah, it was very performance driven people. They wanted to be the best, and they were very positive. Everyone was very friendly in the offices. I know in one office there was an associate that was about to move to an MCD in another place, and she was so sad that she was going to leave her team. And
Yeah,
and it like me moving now to meet my team, like to work with my team, like I don't want to work with any other team, because they're just, it's every day you come in and it's just kind of this positive environment of like, how do we do this, like
hmm
how do we go through this day, how do we succeed this day, how do we succeed as an office overall. And it's honestly a lot of fun. It's one of the doctors that I've shadowed, and this wasn't in Tennessee, literally like her fun thing to do is to look and compare herself to the top 20% of the offices, because everyone's just like has this like energy.
drive.
I
There's
want
like a
to,
drive.
yeah, it's like an energy
Yeah,
and a drive of like, I want to build something great, you know
yeah,
and it's awesome.
yeah. So fast forward, Omar visited Tennessee, and then he attended the Vibe session in early November, and he interviewed with a territory manager in Kentucky, and he got an offer for an office in Kentucky.
Yeah,
So he was kind of like, wait, what? I thought I was going to Tennessee. So he had a whole new thing on his plate to consider.
yeah.
So tell us about that, Omar.
Okay, so that was like one of the most stressful but funny, like it was the most interesting meeting I've had in my life. So Maggie calls me and she's like, "Yeah, you got this new offer, but like there's this other offer, but they like figured out this whole thing, you know?" And I'm just like, "Whoa," you know? And I had spoken with Maggie, and the other person is Maggie too, so there's going to be a little confusion. We'll call her Maggie B earlier in the day. And I loved her, she was very energetic in the way that she spoke, we really vibed. And I think I accepted that offer in 2 or 3 days. I
Mhm, mhm.
I had just such a great feeling about in all honesty, it stopped even being about like, oh, where am I going to practice? It started being like, who's going to be my team? You know?
Right, right.
And like I wanted her to be someone that's on my side, right? I was like,
Yeah,
she seems like a person that could really help me get to the point where I want to get to, especially because we were talking about the point that I want to get to, and she very much, supported that idea. So
sure. So Omar is talking about Maggie Braden, and she's a territory director in Kentucky. She interviewed Omar at our last vibe. And so Maggie Braden's role is to oversee multiple offices, and her territory is Kentucky. So she knows what each office needs. She met with Omar and she knew that he was going to be a really great fit for the owner in Paducah, Kentucky. And Omar accepted a position in Paducah, Kentucky. So Omar visited Paducah, and tell us a little bit about your time in Kentucky.
oh, I loved it. I loved every second of it. So as I said, I come from Lebanon, and I come from like a pretty rural area in Lebanon. And Paducah is a rural area in Kentucky. You're like, I'm around 2 hours and a half away from like Nashville, and that's the closest main airport to me, right? But going to that, like the entire time, I just felt so good. I remember I went to this, and it's kind of funny and a little bit a little bit of irrelevant, but I want to tell the story. So so I went to a barber over there, and I was getting a haircut, and this lady comes in with her like 6 kids, right? And she looks at me and she's like, she's like, she's like, "Oh, don't mind me. It's gonna be a little while." And I was like, "I don't mind." She's like, "Yeah, I have 6 of them, and I'm just getting started." And I'm like, "You belong like with my people. Come here." Like, it was awesome. It was so funny. I laughed so actually. Like I look at her and I go, I look at her and I'm like, getting started doing what? Like, are you building an army? Like, what are you doing? And it just kind of, that was the first interaction I had with people in Paducah. And that kind of set the tone for the rest of the trip. And it was just such a positive experience,
Mhm.
uh, in every way that it could be. I think what's really what I love about Aspen is that when we come into dental school, all of us say that we want to serve the most vulnerable populations and the most vulnerable communities. That is exactly what I was doing, and it was awesome. It was just an amazing feeling.
Yeah, well, you were texting me pictures from your time there, and it's a beautiful
And
part of the
also, it's a
country. It's
beautiful,
gorgeous.
it's a beautiful little town. There's water
Yeah,
right next door, like really close by. There's the Kentucky Lake really close by. It's a beautiful town, but
yeah.
for me, what really took it home, what was the people. Like I loved the people. I loved the team. You know,
Hmm.
going and meeting everyone, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's Dr. Harmouche. We're so excited till you come here." And it was just so beautiful and genuine.
Yeah,
And it was like, I can't wait to be here, you know?
So I want to put something out there. There's always students that say to me, they want to be near a big city. They want to be in a big city. So although Omar has chosen to be outside of a big city, your closest city is Nashville, right? We're a national company. I don't see Omar leaving Paducah, but I want everyone to keep their mind open to possibly going to a smaller town even for a short period of time, because we have so many opportunities to move within the company. Don't be afraid to think outside the box and not be stuck to a big city that you're considering, and maybe practicing in a smaller city, maybe an underserved community where you're going to get a lot of experience to accelerate your career. Um, we've got a question coming in, and I want to remind everybody, use the Q&A box, ask away. Omar, you're frozen. I just want you to know you're completely frozen. There you are.
Yeah, so I was about to tell you, like, I missed whatever you said. The
Oh,
internet went
okay.
out for like 2
So I was just
Okay.
talking about practice, giving everyone, the thought to practice in a smaller community, even if it's for a short term.
Yeah, so I do, like, I actually have like a thing about that. It's okay, so when you first graduate, um, we're we're all, in pretty significant debt. We're all, we're all focused on, okay, like, first of all, finally I'm done with dental school. I never have to have anyone check my, like, my scaling procedure or my ever again. And that's an empowering thing. But also, like, you're going into you we're graduating with with goals, and I think that looking forward to achieving those goals and kind of planning about, okay, like, how do I achieve my goals in 5 years or 10 years, right? And looking at that and balancing it out with the choice that you make for your initial steps when you graduate. I think that that's like such an important point that, like, a lot of us kind of miss in the midst of everything that's happening around us, because we have boards, we have CDCA, we have graduation, we have patients, we have requirements, and it just kind of slips, right? But, like, like that 5 year, that 10-year goal is everything, because to be able to get there, you have to plan on how to get there, so just
Yeah,
random.
no, that's great. That's great. I have a question that came in. At the offices you interviewed in, were the lead dentists understanding of the situation with COVID and how we haven't been able to be in clinic as much as a D4 normally would be?
um
How did you feel they were willing to mentor?
so here, I don't think there is such a thing as, like, more support than I've gotten at Aspen from that end. Everyone's very understanding of the situation that happened, but, like, for us with the requirements and things like that, that shouldn't be an excuse. With everything that happened with COVID, I think that there's still a lot of work that we can do outside of clinic to to set ourselves up for success. But I think that, like, you know, I I have a thing where I'm a little bit anti GPR and and all the residency programs. And it's because, okay, you go into let's say you go into Aspen for the sake of things, and because that's my experience. You you're not getting the support of one doctor. You're not getting the support of two doctors. You're getting the support of an entire national company with doctors and strategies and plans of, okay, we know, okay, you have an entire system that basically knows, okay, we know that the incoming graduates might need a little bit more support. How do we support them to achieve those goals? If you're coachable, if you're able to get mentored, if you're there to succeed, that's exactly what you're going to do. So it's not, nobody, it wasn't even something that, like, anyone thought twice about. It's just the reality of the situation. And when I mentioned to a few doctors that, like, people were more inclined to doing a GPR, people were like, like, why would you do a GPR if you know what, if if you know the situation with COVID? Like, you're gonna be seeing like 2 or 3 patients a day, whereas like you could be going in and getting that experience, that real life experience to move forward. So I think what the mentorship and with the training, everyone gets a different, everyone has a different level of confidence, but I genuinely believe that as long as you know what you don't know, okay? I think that that's very important, is that you know what you don't know, you know your weaknesses, you know your strengths, and you're willing to address and you're willing to tell someone, okay, this is a weakness of mine, you're gonna be fine because they're gonna do everything they can to support you. So
Yeah, and I think that's important, whether, you're joining Aspen or you're joining a private practice or another DSO, it's I think you can agree, Omar, it's really important to be sure you're going to be working with the best team, the best practice owner, whatever, the best lead dentist, so that you're getting the mentorship and the guidance and the career growth that you desire, you know? So I have another question here, and I think you can answer this, Omar, because you spent so much time in different Aspen practices. What are the hours like as a new grad associate? Do you know the answer to that, Omar? If you don't, I can answer it for you.
so I think, and I'm gonna answer my answer. You might have a different answer, and your answer is definitely the one that's right, but I'm gonna answer my answer.
Okay.
So I think at Aspen, you can either work full-time or part-time, right? And if you're working part-time, you're getting that, extra flexibility. If you're working full-time, from what I saw, you're doing the regular, the hours fluctuate according to the owner dentist and according to, what everyone negotiates with the owner dentist. Because, okay, when we think, oh, like Aspen, we think like, oh, we're like talking to this like very big company, but like within the big company, there it's people. So like you're
Mhm.
working with an owner dentist who's kind of mentoring you and coaching you through the process, and that owner dentist is like, he's your people,
Right.
within the bigger organization, which are also your people, you know what I mean? But from what I know, it's that the owner dentist and the team kind of helps plan out that schedule.
Mhm.
Or what I've seen the MCD at, and what I've seen the work usually is between like 8 a.m. and like 5, 6 p.m. every day.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah. No, most offices are open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 6, and Fridays, 8 to 1. And this is just a generalization. It's really determined by the practice owner. Um, and then occasionally Saturdays, there are practices that are open Saturdays. So it really depends on the practice owner and what they desire for their location. And it's really, they're taking into consideration their their patients and what their needs are for that particular community. Maybe they need to be open every other Saturday.
and by the way, they're also taking into consideration like their team too, right? So
Right,
like
right.
it's very much of a discussion problem. And for me, I'm shooting for Saturdays. I want to do Saturdays. The first few months out, like why not? Like my first
Yeah.
month out, why not? And eventually like doing a Saturday every once in a while, that, why not? Like I said, we all come into dentistry saying we want to help people. So it's like
Hmm.
help people, it's I'm
Right,
really looking forward to that actually.
right. Yeah. So another question just came in. What does it look like for career growth from associate to MCD? And I just want to take this one, Omar. You're hired in as an associate dentist. We've seen incredible speedy paths to MCD, which is our lead dentist. In as little as 3 months, sometimes 6, 9 months, a year. It depends on, the practice's needs and your growth as a dentist. So, if you've got the skills and you're really accelerating through things, you may have an owner come to you after 3 months and say, look, I want to make you the MCD of my office. So it comes down to the owner, the new associate dentist, and what they're learning and the pace they're taking things on. Um, I want to talk a little bit about treatment planning because Omar, you were exposed to treatment plans as you shadowed different offices. What's your observation in, how treatment planning is handled? Are dentists able to do their own treatment planning?
I mean, yeah, like that, like that's not even okay. First of all, you're doing your own, like, of course you're doing your own treatment planning because you're the doctor and you're the doctor. But there's a whole like okay, there's a whole stigma in dental schools that is sometimes perpetuated that's just so inaccurate. That shouldn't that is you're the doctor. When you graduate, you're the doctor. You're the expert. Okay. Nobody's going to treatment plan for you because you're the expert in the field. It takes us 4 years to learn what we learn. And then it takes us a lifetime to master it. We're the ones who are applying that, you know, um, from the end of the treatment planning, I think it was awesome to me watching it because everything that I don't like doing, someone else is doing, and that that's because I'm a doctor. I want to do the actual diagnosis. I want to talk to the patient. I don't want to do the impressions. I don't want to do the other things. For you're getting for every patient that comes in, and you set your standard. I know a dentist that her standard is an FMX and a panoramic, right? She's an Aspen dentist, and anytime an MPE comes in, she does an FMX and a panoramic, right? To guide that treatment plan. And then in addition to that, every patient that comes in, I don't know if it's all the offices are like that, but all the ones that I went to are like that, have a CAD/CAM system where the teeth are being scanned into the machine. And when you're talking to the patient, you get to show them like, look, oh, you don't have to sit and try to like be like, oh, you need a filling. You can be like, look, there's a cavity right there. Look at it. And they're just like, yeah, I want you to fix it. So it's you do your own treatment planning, and it's very streamlined treatment planning. You're getting all the information that you need before you come into the patient's to discuss with the patient, and it's honestly awesome. Like it's just perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue. And the next question I have is, what type of equipment did you see in the Aspen Dental offices that you visited?
Lots of technology, which is like, again, goes back to we're serving like the most like, or at least where I'm going, I'm serving the most vulnerable populations with the best technology that there is, and it's awesome. So we do CAD CAM. Every office that I went to had a CBCT and a panoramic. There's the in-house denture labs that fabricate the dentures.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit. So each of our offices has a denture lab, and we have a denture technician there, supporting the entire team. Were you able to, see that happen, Omar?
Oh yeah. I got to see like all of it. So yeah, even the denture process, you would be so surprised at how ugly our wax ups are. Once you see, it's so disheartening a little bit because you're like, oh yeah, like you like come up with your wax up in school and you're like, oh, this is beautiful, right? And then you go and you see a ceramist do like 100 times better job in around 15 minutes. It's just like, well, I'm thankful to have you on my team. I appreciate you. And yeah, I mean the offices, the denture labs are right there. And actually, and I'm gonna tell a little story about one of the people that I met, and it was like one of the best things that it like told me a lot about what I was walking into. So I was in the office in Tennessee, and there was no one in the room. It's just me and the denture, the tech, the lab tech, and he's working. And he like looks at me and he goes, "By the way, I just want you to know, like Dr. John and Aspen, they're a great company to work for. I've had a like it was like so random. I was like, I was like, well, thank you for that, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. And then, and then I awkwardly left the room. But it was, so like, no, you get to see, you get to operate everything. You know, you're the doctor. You're the person that everyone in the office is looking to. You know, you're as an associate, you're part of that leadership team. You're leading the office into every single day, and you can go back into the you can do whatever you want, you know.
That's great. We've got another question came in. Can you provide a range of daily minimum guarantee that is paid by Aspen? So I want to just cover that a little bit. Average daily guaranteed rate is right around 600, 650. I'd like to tell new associate dentists coming in that are considering joining us, you know, it's really predicted by the practice owner. We have practice owners that own practices in areas of the country, and it's hard to fill those positions. So they may be offering a little bit more guaranteed daily rate. But what I do want you to know is it is a guaranteed daily rate. Um, that's where Aspen prides themselves. There's a guaranteed daily rate, and everyone in the office participates in profit sharing. So that is another thing. It's based on patient satisfaction scores and production of the office in a rolling 90 days. So you have the assurance as you're part of a team that everybody in that office is, you know, being compensated the same way, not necessarily at the same levels, but the same way, so that as you practice with your team, you can be assured that your office manager, your receptionist, your dental hygienist is all striving for the same thing you're striving for, and that is patient care and patient satisfaction. So did you experience that in the offices, Omar?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I said, the team effort of, but it's funny though, the offices get competitive of like, oh, I want to beat the other offices, which I love that, but it's like it's a environment. But yeah, like you're first of all, having a minimum daily pay is amazing. One of the things that I was informed about recently by an MCD was like, okay, so let's say on Friday, you're set to work from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., right? You still get that same minimum daily pay, right? Like just by checking in, you're getting that minimum daily pay. That's a huge security, you know, especially for like people who are like worried about like, oh, like what about my skills? I didn't get as much practice. Like, you know, you're walking in knowing like, okay, I'm here today. I'm gonna be able to go home. I'm gonna have enough money to pay my bills.
Right, right.
You know, and then
Yeah,
if you work and you exceed, if you work and you do well, you know, you can easily get that profit sharing. You know, I think like from and that, you know, one of the things about Aspen is like the transparency is like great. Like you know, all of the owners that I worked with or any practice that I looked at working with in, they sent me their numbers. You know, I got to see, okay, the associate before me was making their profit sharing, or you know, everyone was, you know, okay, so there, everyone's. It's like you get to see what you're walking into. You know.
sure, sure. And I want to cover that a little bit. You know, transparency is super important. And we provide that. And anybody who's looking at any opportunity, be sure you're receiving that. Omar, you had a meeting with the territory director, Maggie Braden, and she walked through the numbers with you. Full transparency. So you were able to make an educated decision and you were able to feel good about your decision, right?
Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that I will succeed where I'm going. So,
Right,
so yeah.
right. So that's a great segue. I've got a question here. What would you improve about any of the offices that you shadowed in, and what would you improve in the office that you're going to?
And the office that I'm going to, in all honesty, it's being run at pretty much like at pretty much optimal level.
Omar, how old is that office? How long has that office been there?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I think it's fairly new, but I
Yeah,
actually don't
it
know
is
the answer to
fairly
that
new.
either.
It looks like it. No, it's not one of the newer ones because the dentist doesn't have their own office.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not one of the newer ones, but it sure feels like.
How many, do you remember how many operatories are in the office in Paducah, Kentucky?
I think there was 9.
Wow.
It was
You
a
know,
big office. It was a big office.
that's big.
Yeah, it was definitely a big office. I recall counting the team members, and it was like, I know it's a weird. I'm a little weird.
Yeah,
It was
well,
like,
no, I like, when I get posed the question, I always tell people it's usually 6 to 8 operatories. So just to give them a rough idea of office size. So the office that you're going to be working in is owned by an Aspen Dental doctor, obviously. And how many offices does he own?
Dr. Enan owns 12 offices, or it was either 12 or 14, and then the other Dr. John, because they're both Dr. Johns, and the other Dr. John, and I suck at last at names sometimes. The other Dr. John was one of them owned 12, one of them owned 14.
Mhm. Yeah, which is typical. I just want everybody that's viewing this to know that we have a path to ownership. I know it's Omar's goal. Omar wants to own not just one practice. I can tell you that. And it's achievable. So, anybody that has that desire to be a practice owner, we have a path to ownership and we can make that, happen for you. Go ahead, Omar.
Okay, and one thing that like I loved about like the concept of working with Aspen. Um, okay, usually you graduate, you work as an associate dentist, whether it's in a private office, I think is a traditional, right? You try to buy out that practice. If the traditional owner feels like selling you a practice, his practice, or feels like retiring, you can buy that practice out, and then you can carry out your dentistry in that office, where you have you're worried about hiring your office manager, you're worried about, okay, when you go home, you're still thinking about that practice. Okay, and this is like the life work balance. Okay, or like, okay, so when you go home, you're still thinking about your bills. Okay, you might be setting your own hours. Okay, or you might be a little bit more, and but you don't have that. You're going home and thinking about, okay, like, how can I make the practice better? Oh my God, it's tax season. Like, no,
Right.
w- or, and you're having a lot of uncertainty when you have a system that's been developed and developed and developed and developed into what is now really very close near optimum. You're more able to kind of map out that path for yourself. And then not only are you able to map out that path for yourself, you have a whole team that is around you that's like, you get that path. Like, I'm gonna make sure that you get that path. Just keep doing what you're doing, keep setting your plans, keep working, keep planning it out. And I'm gonna do everything that I can to support you. So I think like a path to ownership in Aspen, from what I've seen, is way easier than going and trying to own a private practice, from what I've seen.
Right.
I haven't seen the whole way through, so maybe we'll do another one of this one of these next year. But that's kind of where it stands, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
um,
yeah. And so just to clarify, once Omar starts working for Aspen Dental, he and I are actually going to work for two different companies. I work for Aspen Dental Management Incorporated. I am the business side of the company, that the business support side. So each practice is supported by Aspen Dental Management Incorporated, marketing, recruiting, billing. I mean, think of all the business things that happen, that are supporting each and every office. We have over 870 offices across the country in 44 states. And we have a gigantic call center in Phoenix, Arizona, which is taking all new patient calls. So think about that. Each office on average sees 7 new patients a day. Really great patient flow. And maybe Omar, you could talk to this, patient flow. What did you experience with, a full, were the offices that you went to, did they have full patient flow? Was there any downtime?
Okay, so it's kind of crazy. So it's something that I was actually talking about to an MCD recently, and it's like, okay, like they saw like around 27, 28 patients in the day. I
Mhm.
swear to God, it was so slow. I was like, how do people in private practice do it? It's just the day must feel so long. But I think like we're like joking about it, we're like laughing about it. But I think where it translates is that team. Like you're working with like 4 or 5 DAs that are doing everything you can everything that they can do, they are doing. So you're walking in, doing your doctor, being the doctor, doing your dentistry, and walking out. Um, and it's just great. So I think each office had multiple MPEs every single day that I was in it. Like
Mhm.
in a slow day, they probably like saw like 2 or 3 MPEs, I think. But like over like there was a lot of MPEs coming in, a lot of people meeting a lot of new people, and yeah.
Yeah, and that comes from the business side of things. We have an incredible marketing team. You know, Americans across the country are exposed to Aspen Dental commercials and social media. So, we're putting ourselves out there to, bring in those new patients. Um, and so another great question just came in. Um, is working at Aspen for me if I cannot work more than 40 hours per week?
I'm I mean I think that that's a question that you'll have to figure out with your owner, but I yeah I mean I
Mhm.
think that okay, so I think that you you can be accommodated according to what things you like.
Mhm.
Nobody is like sitting and forcing you to do to do the work, like to do long hours or something like that. It's just kind of like it's so if that's important to you, I'm sure that if you mention it to your mentor of like, hey, look, I want to do like 40 hours a week. I'm sure that that is something that they'll be like, oh, okay, here's how we can plan it out, and here's how we can,
Right.
there,
Right.
it's you're not coming in and like, this is the job, do it. You're like, it's a discussion.
There's a conversation.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a conversation. Yeah, yeah. So, that's true. There's a conversation. Is it typical the lead doctor and one associate, or are there multiple associates per office?
So from what I know and I see, it's either one doctor or one doctor and an associate. So it's either the MCD or the MCD as and an associate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because the office runs optimally that way. As
Right.
you have a lot of support around you, so there isn't a need to have too many doctors in one place.
Right. Another question just came in. How do you work in specialty? Do you have a specialist visiting your office, or is there one on call?
Yeah, so we have so you'll usually have an oral surgeon and an endodontist that kind of come in regularly to help out with cases that they need to. And also you have your owner doc, and those owner docs, in all honesty, should be considered specialists. Um, I've seen some very impressive things. So and they all come in in rotation. So you usually get the specialty need within the office.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
there.
So just to clarify, we do have our own specialists, oral surgeons and endodontists, and typically they're covering a territory. So, it could be 4 to 6 to 8 offices that they're traveling between. So, you're supported by specialty that are Aspen Dental specialists.
Yeah, so the one thing that I know of was the periodontists, they referred out, but
Mhm.
everything else is kept very much in house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Good. Oh, can you do the endo or extractions yourself, or do you have to give those procedures to the endodontist or oral surgeon?
Again, you don't gotta do any, like, it's you get to decide what you're good at, and what you want to do and what you want someone else to do. The extractions, I can tell you from now, you will do, or at least if you go to Paducah, you will do a lot of extractions. The endo piece there. Okay, so not only, okay, so if you want to do your endo, you can, and there is a new system that is being spread out throughout the company called the Wave One system. You guys should look it up. It's way better than anything that we've. If you're in a dental school, I assume you haven't used it before. It's a very simple, very easy to use endo system. Um, that allows for faster care for the patient. Um, on the endo side, me personally, I think it will take me. I personally don't foresee myself doing a lot of endo other than anterior, just because like, why would I? Like, I'm not, I don't want to waste. I don't want to spend that much time working on a molar that my endodontist can do in a very short amount of time. So, but I think the very common consensus is you get to do whatever you want to do. You're the one you're the quarterback, okay? And the team is around you to support you. You know, the 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 mentor is like your coach, right? Your owner is like your coach, and they're kind of giving you some game plans and telling you what to do. But you're the quarterback. You're the one who holds the ball. You're the one who knows like who gets to decide where they want to throw it. If you want to do endo, you can go ahead and do endo. If you want to do extractions, you can go ahead and do extractions. If you want to do implants, they will train you and make sure that you can do implants. If you want to do bone grafts, they will make sure that you can do bone grafts. Okay. Whatever you want to do, you can do it, and they will give you the training and support for you to be able to do it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it answered my question. That was good, Omar. Thanks. So what does your future look like after you graduate, Omar? What does your future look like? How soon will you be in Paducah, Kentucky, practicing dentistry?
So I am moving down to Paducah. Well, my contract says July 26th. I'm on a full agreement with everyone that like as soon as my boards get as soon as I get my board license, I'm heading down there. I with so hopefully it'll be significantly before July 26th. Um, I'm just excited to get my life started. So that I come in, I start working with I start working on the mentorship program. There's a 4-week mentorship program that I'm going to undergo, and then I go into my practice and I start working over there, and then I want to start looking at ownership options within the year, ideally,
Mhm.
and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, good. So you experienced Vibe, our virtual Vibe session in November. We have one coming up February 6th. What did you take away from Vibe besides talking to Maggie Braden and getting an offer? What was your takeaway from
That's
Vibe?
my favorite part. I think with it was it, it was honestly awesome to see so many other students there, and and
Mhm.
and it's not just Vibe, but like I watch because I'm undergoing like I'm trying to get a lot of the trainings done a little early, so I've done a lot of the training videos with Maggie and with Maggie Braden, uh, and it's just it's a great company, man. Like it's there's this book called From Good to Great, right? And it's about like a good company versus a great company and what differentiates the two, right? A great company isn't worried about, okay, like how do I succeed? It's worried about how do we succeed, right? And that's just the case with Aspen, like or that's been my experience with Aspen. It's like how do we succeed? How do we make sure that this new person coming in becomes the best person that they want to be, right?
Mhm.
And go from there. You know what I mean? And then the process really self perpetuates. You know.
Right, right. No, that's great. That's great. So for those of you who haven't seen an email or a text from me, we have a Vibe, virtual Vibe session coming up February 6th. It's a Saturday. There's a very informational first hour and a half. I think, Omar, you were able to experience that in November. Our CEO, Bob Fontana, speaks to all of you and, in the most genuine way. And I hope you all can attend. We have interviews that day. If you're looking for a specific area of the country or you're open to any part of the country, we do have interviews that afternoon. So look for that invite. And I just really want to thank you all for attending. Omar, do you have any, words of wisdom for anybody before we choose the winner?
The person that just responded about
Oh,
the private dentist doesn't.
will the same doctors be there from the first 5 event, or are there different doctors? There are actually, so just so you know, there's going to be different doctors. It's typically, doctors that have open opportunities. So there will be different doctors attending this vibe, different doctor owners. So if you've interviewed or talked with anybody from the previous vibe, there will be different doctor owners and different territory directors on the vibe in February. Great
Um,
question.
yeah, and I know you're moderating the Q&A, but I'm a little like I have to like see everything. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
mentioned that like some private practices that they can't do endo.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go on a little personal rant here, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
All right, look, so here's why. Okay, so I don't like GPRs, and I hesitate about private offices. Okay, and here's why. Okay, and a private doctor has been a doctor in one office. They've learned what they can learn. They've done what feels right for them. And then you're walking in, and whatever biases or experiences that this doctor has had are what are going to shape your entire career. Okay. Second of all, and the it's a matter of interests, right? So like when someone is the owner doctor, their interest is or just the owner of a single private or private clinic, their interest is how can I make my private clinic produce the most money that it can, right? And then you basically are an asset to help achieve that. Okay. When you're in an organization that has done it a lot of times and the organization's main mission is we want to, okay, so like the mission statement, right? And how many offices have a mission statement? I don't think that many, but the mission statement is we want to give America a healthy mouth. Okay. To give all of America a healthy mouth, you've got to be spreading and moving, right? And you've got to really improve your ability to serve, right? And when you're coming in, you're not getting the value of one doctor. You're getting the value of hundreds of doctors who have helped develop the system that is currently in existence. You know what I mean? So you're not getting just one person's perspective, one person's viewpoint, and that's your life now. You're coming in and you're having so many different options available for you and so much more to learn. And look, if you want to open a private practice and like work with Aspen or a system to gain that experience, that's your call, right? But like, I do not like the idea of going into a private office when you're first whatever experience they had, those are going to shape your experiences. If they've had a happy experience in dentistry, you'll have a happy experience in dentistry. You might miss some of the knowledge you might miss the knowledge that they missed, but you'll have a happy experience in dentistry. If they have a bad experience with dentistry, you're going to have a bad experience with dentistry. Whatever biases this one person has, they're going to perpetuate to you. Whereas when it's a bigger organization with more support and more experiences, that bias kind of tends to limit itself because there's more people involved, right? And then my whole thing is about a GPR because you're going to see two to three patients a day, and that's like an hour and a half in a private office, So those are some things that I think about.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. No, and that's why you're here tonight, because I knew you would have a wealth of information. Omar does his research, and he's very thoughtful about his decision-making process, and checks all the boxes. So I hope those that are listening, took something away from this. it's meant to be transparent, and anybody that has a question, after this is more than welcome to ask myself or Omar. We're an open book. And I really do appreciate everybody that came on tonight. Omar, I have $100 Amazon gift card to give away. So could you please choose a number between 1 and 36?
That's the hardest question of the day. Let's go with 9. 9 is the number that popped up to my head.
9. All right. Michael Levi, Tufts, 2022.
So I'm happy. There was some text asking me to rig this, by the way, Maggie.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. You can't rig it.
Some
You
shady
can't rig it.
characters, right?
You can't rig it. So Michael Levi, I will be contacting you. You have won a $100 Amazon gift card. So great job. We really appreciate everybody logging in tonight. Herman says it's rigged. You're going to win the grand prize at the office trivia night. So just, stand down. Oh, that's funny. Well, hey, we're getting a lot of thank yous coming in. We really appreciate everybody logging in tonight. And I will text and email each and every one of you. Omar, Harmouche, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all for coming in today. I really hope that, you guys all achieved your wildest dreams. So
awesome. Well, great. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.